We're going to talk about something important today, the difference between liberty and license and the foundation of law, while, of course, our dear president, who I love, is under constant attack, this time from the husband of one of his, from Kelly Conway's husband. What is that all about? You think you've got a bad marriage? I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program. I'm feeling really European. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you look at Rome, London, there's various politicians that this weird relationship dynamics are constantly coming out in the press. So now we have Kellyanne Conway, who is a key player on the Trump administration, for sure the highest profile female in the communications department, an incredibly articulate defender of the president. And her husband, George, is going at it publicly with the president. What in the name of creation is that all about? So President Trump calls him the husband from hell. George responds, you, period, are, period, nuts, period. Here's one of my theories. You know that I don't believe in conspiracy theories. If you're a regular viewer of the show, I think that there are conspiracies all the time. They're just happening right in front of you. So some of us have been through bad marriages. Some of us are in bad marriages. Some of us have gone through the nightmare of a divorce, which is not funny. But I cannot stop laughing about this insanity with President Trump and George Conway. We could call Conway the Conway Twitter. Oh, I want to coin that phrase, the Conway Twitter, the Conway from hell. The only upshot, there's actually two upshots to this. One is that it's funny. The second is, far more important, is that this is really capturing the media's attention. And I think that President Trump is so smart. He's dumb as a fox. I think what he's doing is taking attention away from the Mueller investigation. I mean, the left-wing hate Trump media is just eating this stuff up. So they're running with it. And when they run with it, they're not talking about the Mueller investigation or how bad Trump is. Now they're talking about Kelly Conway's husband, going after the president. Now, does anyone think that a marriage like this can last or that Kelly can remain in the Trump administration? I wonder if anybody in Hollywood is Vegas is taking bets. Do you know what I'm talking about? Which is going to go first, the Conway marriage or Kelly Conway leaving the White House? I mean, it's an unsustainable tension, right? She works for the president, and her husband is publicly beating up the president, saying he's mentally unfit. He's got these various psychosis disorders. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's really funny, and it feels very European. It feels like the stuff that you'd be reading about in the Daily Mirror or in one of the London-based newspapers. So, I don't know. I don't know what it's all about, Alfie, but my heart goes out to Kelly Conway, unless the president and Kelly are in on it. That's a possibility, that they're actually just creating this whole scenario so that it's a distraction. I don't know. The left wing of the Democrat Party, Yang, have you seen this new guy, this new Asian guy who's running for president? And he said that, this is just awkward, but he said that if he was elected president, he would have some kind of a presidential commission and use the bully pulpit to tell Americans that they don't need to circumcise their boys and to say that the health benefits of male circumcision are a myth. Now, I wonder how long before he's labeled as anti-Semitic. Anyway, that was a really far out there joke. But the benefits to male circumcision physically and medically are well proven, okay? They're just well proven. So, and this is the same guy who wants a guaranteed monthly check of $1,000 per person. So millennials, you sleepyhead, don't get out of bed. Uncle Sam will provide for you your daily bread. I've got to take a break. When we come back, one of our illustrious team members is leaving for greener pastures. And he asked me before the show, hey, could we revisit the concept of freedom and the foundation of biblical law for cultures? And I said, well, sure. In honor of all the time that you've put in on this team, I owe it to you. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Welcome back to the program. Friend, if you just joined me, I'm Randall Terry, and I apologize for the way my voice sounds, but this is the hand that's been dealt to me. There are only two foundations of law. Okay, by law, I mean societal law. What is criminal, what is legal, what is allowed, what is not allowed. The foundation of law can either be the law of God, the Ten Commandments, and mostly the second tablet of the law. The first tablet of the law is how we relate to God. The second tablet of the law is how we relate to each other. Okay, don't murder, don't steal, don't bear false witness, etc. There's two foundations for law: the law of God and everything else. What man comes up with out of his own brain and what man creates via a legislative majority, a judicial ruling, the barrel of a gun, a coup d'etat, whatever. They're as foolish and silly as the anarchists are with their desire to have no government. There's just no such thing as no government. There will always be government among men. Now, the framers of our Declaration, the writers of our Declaration, the signers, Thomas Jefferson penning it, then them editing it, rightly explained that governments are instituted among men to secure people's freedom, the protection of their property, the protection of their lives. All men are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that governments are instituted among men to protect these rights. Okay? God, in Mosaic law, confirmed in the New Testament with a couple of alterations, God defined what was right and wrong. God defined what men and women could and could not legally do. So let's dispel one notion right at the beginning. Freedom and ability are not the same thing. Freedom communicates with it an ethical connotation, that I have a right from God to freedom. What does my freedom mean? My freedom means the ability to move about wherever I want. The freedom means that I can live where I want. Freedom means that I can build the kind of house that I want, that I can have the job that I want, that I can grow the crops that I want. Now, in a communist socialist world, Bernie Sanders being the highest profile socialist running for Democrat nominee, in a communist socialist world, it's a planned economy. The government chooses where you'll live. The government chooses what your job will be. If you're a farmer, the government chooses what your crops will be. They're not free. They're the slaves of the state. Freedom would also encompass the right to choose your leaders, the right to criticize your leaders, the right to practice your own religion, the freedom, I shouldn't say the right, the freedom to practice your own religion or no religion at all. It's not compulsory. These are freedoms, and there's more besides these. the ability to commit a murder exists because of free will. All right? God has given all of us free will. We have the ability to choose to follow him and obey him. We have the ability through free will to rebel against him and to bring harm to our fellow creatures, our fellow humans. But the ability to do that must never be confused with the right to do that. That's why when you hear the right to choose or the freedom to choose in regard to abortion, it's actually a perversion of language. No one has the right to murder their offspring any more than anyone has the right to kill a 4-year-old or a 44-year-old or an 80-year-old. We have the ability to commit evil deeds inasmuch as the strength that we have and our wits would enable us to commit a horrible crime or a lightweight crime. We have the ability, but we do not have the right. So when we say freedom, freedom in its best definition would communicate with it an ethical component. We are free under God to do the right thing. Now, you could pervert the language and say, I'm free under God to commit a murder, but that's not actually true, because true freedom would communicate a right, an inherent right that we possess. I have the right to do this. I do have the right to work where I want. I do have the right to buy the car or no car. I do have the right to criticize my government. I don't have the right to try and kill someone in government or to steal a car or to burn down my neighbor's house. Those are not rights. I might have the ability, but I don't have the right. I am not free to do that. Now, here's where it comes the purpose of law. And I've got to take a break, and then we will talk about the purpose of law regarding rights, freedoms, crimes, etc. Don't go away. I hope that this is interesting to you. If not, I don't know, placate me, pretend that it's interesting. Just don't turn away.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words.
When we were off the air, the soon-to-be leaving star of our team asked me, is it immoral to not receive Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? Is it immoral? I paused. I said, well, it's a rejection of God, but it's not a criminal act. The Bible commands us, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? So to say, no, I won't do that, yeah, sure, that's immoral. It's a rejection of God, but there's no civil penalty associated with it. The first tablet of the law does not have corresponding criminal punishments. Did you know that? My relationship with God is not compulsory by the state, but the state can compel me through the fear of punishment to not steal. Now, if I say I don't care and I steal, then God has given civil authority the right and the duty to punish me for my theft, and my punishment serves as a warning to others so that they don't commit a theft. A quick rabbit trail here. The primary purpose of civil law in the scriptures, as delineated in the scriptures, is negative. All right? It is to to help people, to inspire people to not do evil because of the fear of punishment, the fear of the consequences. Do you understand? God said, if somebody commits a murder, execute them publicly and let everyone see it. And it says, others will see it and fear, and this wickedness will be driven out of Israel. When people see the price that has to be paid for committing a criminal act, it serves as a deterrent. So the primary purpose of civil law is the suppression of evil deeds because of the fear of punishment. And this is where the libertarians and people who don't understand the law of God, they just hate Christianity, or they don't understand the connection between liberty, rights, and biblical law. This is where they miss it. They say, oh, you want a Christian state. Well, of course I want a Christian state. I want a state that's founded on Judeo-Christian law, because if we don't, then we have a state that's founded on socialism or communism or hedonism or humanism or positivism, where the judges and the legislators make it up as they go. You're going to have a law structure based on something. And I want it to be based on Judeo-Christian law because that's the best law that was ever given. And it's the only true law. All other laws either echo the Judeo-Christian law or oppose it. That's it. But in Judeo-Christian law, you cannot compel someone to be baptized. You cannot compel someone to make a profession of faith in Jesus Christ. There is no civil punishment for somebody who doesn't baptize their kids, or adults who aren't baptized, or people who don't accept Jesus Christ as their Savior. There's no punishment for that. And God did not authorize the government to do that. So people go, you're on a Christian state, they don't understand. They're spouting off things that they don't understand. They're not well read. They are indoctrinated, but they're not well read. So, to come back to this is in broad strokes. The first tablet of the law is my relationship to God. The second tablet of the law, the Ten Commandments, is my relationship to people. And the second tablet of the law is where criminal repercussions happen, and civil repercussions. I cannot bear false witness against my neighbor in court. I cannot commit perjury against my neighbor in court. It is a crime to do so. You understand? But if I want to say I don't believe in God, then I can do that. And there's no corresponding civil punishment for that. It's not a criminal act. So, if we want liberty, true freedom, I think that if you're looking for tags, true freedom would be based upon the law of God. These are the rights that you have. You can do all these things. You can't do these things, but you can do these things. Theocentric libertarianism. That's a phrase that I came up with, at least I think I came up with it about 25 or 30 years ago. Theocentric libertarianism. Libertarianism I didn't come up with. Libertarian Party, it's, leave me alone, I get to do what I want, no socialist state. The problem with libertarians that are not theocentric is that they believe that anything goes sexually, and they think they can kill their children. If you want homosexual marriage, that's fine. No. Theocentric libertarianism, because God gets to define life, God gets to define marriage, God gets to define right and wrong. But if you look at the law of God and how it applied to society in Israel, it was the most free culture that ever existed. It was the most free society that ever existed, literally. Nothing like it. Way more free than the Greeks. Don't kid yourself. The Greeks were a slave pedophile state, okay? The Jews, no. And yes, there were alterations in the new covenant from the old to the new, but only a few. And the Judeo-Christian foundation of law is the best that mankind has because it came from God himself. So the trick is to learn the law and to learn where it's abrogated or altered in the New Testament, and then embrace without equivocation and without fear that this is who we are as a people. This is who we want to be. And as we reject that and become a pagan culture, that's the trouble that we're in. I'll be right back.
What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from what would Muhammad do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Muhammad Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. We as people do not have the right to make a criminal act out of something that God does not make a criminal act. Now, DWI and hurting people, that's something else. Just like having an ox in the Old Testament that you knew would gore someone. If you knew you had an ox that would gore someone and you didn't kill that ox and it gored someone, you were criminally liable. So if you know that you drink and you get behind the wheel of a car and you're going to hurt someone, you're criminally liable. But it's the driving part. It's not that you consumed alcohol. We do not have the right to make it a criminal act of something that God does not make a criminal act or that God says is a blessing. Conversely, we do not have the right to make it a marriage with something that God says is an inherently criminal act. Homosexual marriage. God created marriage, right? The defining act of a marriage is the consummation of the marriage where the two become one flesh, the marital embrace. In a homosexual union, homosexual deed, the union, the two becoming one flesh, is an inherently abominable, sinful act. The scripture says it's an abomination. And in the Old Testament, it was a capital offense. It was a criminal act for two people of the same gender to have sex, or a human and an animal. All right, so this is a criminal act. We do not have the right over here to say, oh, well, we don't care what God said. We're going to take two human beings of the same gender and now say that they have a marriage. We're going to take what used to be a criminal act and we're not only going to decriminalize it, we're going to elevate it to the sacrament, the covenant, the institution of marriage. No, you can't do that. Period. Other people will say, well, you know, we had prohibition and it didn't work. And if you make abortion illegal, killing babies illegal, that's not going to work either. No, 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 no. Alcohol consumption, production in its right context is considered a blessing by the word of God. Murdering a baby is always murder. It's always a sin and it's always a criminal act. We don't have the right to take something that is a criminal act and to legalize it. That's a betrayal of what the purpose of law is. Romans 13 says that the civil magistrate is there to uphold, he's the servant of God, to uphold the law of God. Read Romans 13, 1 through 5 and look at it for yourself. The servant of God in the civil government exists to punish people who break the law. But the law is defined by God's law. The civil government doesn't have the right, for example, to say you may not preach the gospel. And if you preach the gospel, we're going to punish you. And you can't say, well, Romans 13 says we have to obey the law. So if you're a Christian hiding Jews from the Nazis, and the Nazi says you're supposed to obey the government because Romans 13, 1 through 5 says you are. You don't say, oh yeah, you're right. Here's the Jews that are over here hiding. No, 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 no. They don't have the right
to force you to disobey God's law in the name of civil law. That's the issue. I hope this has made sense. God bless you. Go to my website, randallterry.com. You're going to see a lot of cool stuff there. God bless you.